Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the show that asked if video killed the radio star, who killed the podcast star. It's Robbie Koblenz, Guys of a Certain Age, alongside
Art Shirley
and Jay Reed.
Only podcast murderers in the building. Or in the studio, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That could be our show.
That could be our show.
Could be.
But one of us would have
That would be the one that would kill the podcast. We would know then that we're the ones that killed the podcast.
Yeah, well, but then one of us would have to die for that to be a show, because you could actually have a murderer.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all looking at Jay.
He's looking at me funny.
Oh, that's the way it
funny,
goes.
haha.
Yeah.
Funny, peculiar.
Funny, peculiar.
Do I amuse you?
Are you not amused?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into some Geeks of the Week.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I have a smattering of geeks. I may just pick one of the...
Why don't you do them all?
Okay, first of all, we've seen the first look at James Gunn's Superman suit. There's a picture of David Corin. I can't remember how you pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. The new actor that's playing Superman, sitting in a chair, pulling on a boot as something happens in the background, like something's exploding in the background, and he seems a little indifferent to it.
And as I was scrolling, when I saw that the first time, it was like everybody had that same picture.
Yes.
I thought it was AI. I thought it was an AI creation.
Yeah, did you really?
First.
Yeah, because it looked kind of, and of course, there's been a whole lot of things where they've dropped him into the backgrounds.
Other settings, yes. I've seen that.
My favorite is where he's sitting in the shoe store aisle.
Yeah,
and,
with all the same
trying on the boot. Yeah, so it's good. But anyway, there's that. Also, Star Trek news. Chris Pine had said earlier, maybe a few weeks ago, that Star Trek 4 was happening, and he was excited to see the script and everything. And now he finds out that no, the script is actually being rewritten. They've brought in new writers. He's not sure when or if it'll happen. I really don't think we'll see a return to the Kelvin universe. I think that they're probably happy with what's going on with Strange New Worlds, and will continue to focus on their TV stuff, Paramount will.
Are you watching Discovery?
I'm not watching Discovery. I probably will start. You watching the last season of it?
No, I'm not. I haven't watched the last two seasons.
I haven't either, and I thought about maybe just watch it, because this is the final season, just to watch it to see how, maybe a few episodes to see if how it is. Like I said, I've some seasons I've liked, some seasons I haven't liked. It's not been as consistent to me as Strange New Worlds.
I'll probably wait till Strange New Worlds starts again.
Yeah.
Which, sometime next year at this
Right.
point, and then watch Discovery at that point.
Okay.
It just never did it for me.
It never, and as much as Strange New Worlds hit, I mean, like I said, probably one of my favorite Star Trek series ever.
Yeah.
Discovery it never hit either.
No.
Yeah.
And I think they're visiting the mirror universe a little too much.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
But anyway, all right. Is that
Peter Jackson? I haven't. Y'all may know more about this than I do. All I know is that he is going to do a new Lord of the Rings movie. So I think that they're kind of going back to the well for this again, trying to get some more interest. That they've got the series that's run on Amazon, which probably didn't do as well as they thought. Although I enjoyed the series, but I don't know what the subject matter is going to be.
Well, I saw a note saying that Andy Serkis was going to write and direct a new Gollum movie. Would that be the same? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, Peter Jackson's supposed to be directing this, and so I wouldn't think so.
Okay,
but
so
maybe
different.
he's writing and involved, but I'm not sure.
Huh.
Well, along those lines, Theoden the King is no longer with us.
Oh, that's
Bernard Hill.
Yeah, right. Also, the captain of the Titanic.
That's right.
Right.
So
yeah.
Two doomed endeavors,
Yeah,
but one
that's true.
One
But
was
a very talented character actor.
Yeah. So he passed away. I guess late last week.
Yeah, and I had never put the two together. I didn't realize it was the same
I didn't
guy
either. I mean, they're very different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. The beard, I think, was the only thing that tied them together.
That's right. So, well, Jay, what you got for a geek?
Well, this past week, apparently, I don't know what is an earnings call? Is that when
It's basically when the higher ups at a corporation sit down with financial analysts and say, okay, this is what we made, this is what we didn't make financially, and this is our guidance.
So is it a literal phone call? I guess that's what.
It's
There's usually a meeting. There's kind of a conference table meeting, but there are people that are on the conference call.
Okay.
Stockholders and not stockholders, but shareholders, I guess.
Yeah, you may have shareholders who are on that earnings call, but you have a ton of financial analysis analysts who will sit there, and it's always held after the stock market closes because the information that hits is pertinent. Yeah.
Could affect the stock.
So the Disney earnings call, I kind of figured that, but sometimes terminology can mean something else. So on the Disney earnings call, Iger,
Bob Iger.
Igor. Yes,
Igor says. Bob Iger said that they're going to focus on quality, not quantity, for the future of Marvel. So they're going to scale back the number, maybe maximum of 3 movies a year.
But see, that seemed like a lot to me.
2 series, 3 movies.
2 series, 2 movies, maybe 3. And I think, like in the next paragraph, it said, 2025 we're going to have XYZ, 3 different movies coming out. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think they've realized we had a good moment, and everybody was on board, and then all of a sudden we kind of. Well, we've talked about that before.
You had a good
glut.
You had a good 10, 15 years.
Yeah, right up until the Avengers Endgame stuff.
Yeah,
and then I'm possibly a few after that, but.
And I'm not disinterested in it, but I can definitely see that.
But you're fatigued.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I have fatigue.
I'm fatigued. I mean, we haven't. When's the last time we all went to see actually a movie? In the theater that was Marvel-ish or DC even.
Was it Thor: Love and
Rockets? Or
I was going to say
Love and Rockets.
Too,
if that's our last one, we need to
but I went to Love and Rockets too. Maybe that would have been a better movie, But although I enjoyed Love and Thunder, I thought it was, it was fun.
Name the only radio hit from Love and Rockets.
Oh, I don't remember.
So Alive.
Okay.
And I used to get Guns N' Roses and Love and Rockets confused.
Yeah.
Because they came out roughly the same time to pop.
Yeah, we've also seen news about Robert Downey Jr. willing to come back as Iron Man, or Tony Stark maybe.
Cash grab.
Yeah. It's like,
but I like what he said, and I probably get the words wrong, but he said, that was a defining role for him.
Yeah.
He will always be a part of him, so he'd be willing to come back. So
and then there's rumors that Chris, not Pond, Evans, yes, thank you, is rumored to be, considering a comeback as well.
Well, I'm sure it was an AI picture, but I saw a picture of him sort of in a Captain America garb, but gray and with a beard and very ancient looking, but distinguished.
So a little bit of follow-up from Variety on the Lord of the Rings. It's going to be Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum is going to be the movie
so I guess
out
it probably is going to be. Yeah.
And it's going to be produced by Peter Jackson.
So maybe he's producing and Serkis is directing.
Yeah, and Serkis is going to direct and star in the iconic title role. So
The Hunt for Gollum?
Yeah.
Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin going to be in it.
The Hunt for Red Gollum. That's going to be interesting.
A single ring.
One ring only. It's the humor that makes this podcast go around. And shout out to Perk if you're listening. I'll fill you guys in. We have a new listener. He's like consumed the first 35 or 40 episodes of the podcast.
Dog.
Yeah,
before our voices changed.
Only 200 plus to go.
Yeah, that's right. That's
a good start. Though.
We should have Perk in. He's one of David's friends. So, but anyway. My geek is not like your geeks. So you guys are familiar with MeTV, which is a broadcast second-tier network.
I know where you're going with this, too.
Do you know where I'm going? So MeTV is launching in June the MeTV Toons channel.
Yeah, this looks good.
It does. It does, featuring Bugs Bunny and other Warner Brothers content. So
it reminded me a little of Boomerang.
It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah.
Boomerang, which was one of my favorite networks on expanded cable.
Yeah.
But you got Scooby, you got Tasmanian Devil, you got Mr. T, you get Betty Boop. This is all on the landing page. So
how does one get
Captain Planet?
Captain Planet.
So semi-class, some classic, some semi-classic.
At this point, Captain Planet.
I was going to say
classic.
they're probably all classic at this point.
Look, we ran Captain Planet first run in '93 when I was at Channel 5.
Yeah, okay.
So 30 plus years. So
it's hard to believe.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a broadcast network, and
MeTV is currently a broadcast.
Yeah,
I don't know that there may be some. It's not on any of, but not on YouTube Live or Hulu or Hulu. I don't
So
think.
MeTV is the secondary channel for WCBI, or the
Right.
tertiary. So you have to
Yeah.
have rabbit ears for it.
Yeah, that's I'll get it from that. It's like I said, it's got a lot of old classic TV, and I would imagine.
That's redundant. Old classic.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But well, not everything old is classic.
Like us.
Case in point. But so I would imagine somebody will find a way to put that on there too.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. I mean, that would be something that I would pop on and just let run in the background. So
Toon's TOONS, not
That's right.
TUNES.
That's
Because
right.
I
No,
thought
it's
you
not
were
like
heading
towards MTV.
across the break.
yeah,
Almost.
yeah, not quite. We've got another segment to do before we do that. So
Oh, that's right.
But that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. So, but yeah, that's a nice smattering of geeks.
Yeah.
I can't believe I brought up the Celebrity Death Watch.
And I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, I need to remember this to mention it.
Do I need to go Spock on you? Remember, from end of Wrath
Yes.
of Khan. That's what happened. You remember Jay into Wrath of Khan, where
McCoy
Where it
was
goes to
holding
McCoy.
Spock's katra or whatever.
yeah, that's right.
That's,
I think in Alabama you have to get married when that happens.
well, as long as you're cousins, it's okay.
That's Arkansas. That's
okay. Yeah,
Arkansas.
that's right.
So yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody else is mocking us for that, but Mississippi. But
Yeah.
we'll lash out as we can.
Remember.
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, all right. But now it's time for
Jay's regrettable segment. Jay's regrettable segment brought to you today by
Me Tunes.
Hooked on Phonics, apparently. 23andMe. Find out if your fiance is actually your cousin using 23andMe.
Offer only valid in Mississippi, Arkansas,
right.
Alabama, and
That's
Louisiana. So,
We charge you by the breaks in the tree. Mississippi gets a 50% discount. There are no limbs.
wow.
Boy.
All right,
I was
Jay.
going to
What,
bring it by cicadas, but I just made an audible there at the end.
yeah. Wow. All right.
A good one. Okay, so from the League of Regrettable Superheroes, today's entry is Mother Hubbard. Not old Mother Hubbard, just Mother Hubbard,
Young Mother Hubbard.
who made it about one issue in 1940, I believe. Let's see, 1941 from Harry Chesler Publishing, but created by we have no idea.
Okay. Really?
That's what it says.
Nobody claimed it.
So you might have a picture of what old Mother Hubbard looked like. She's definitely a witch. She used witchcraft in her to fight the evil in her day. In that day, as we have mentioned many times, you've got mostly Nazis being fought. So
okay.
she did fight a Nazi or two in the beginning, but then kind of turned her witchcraft to gnomes who were doing
Gnomes.
evil things to children, like removing their eyes and removing their souls. So you use witchcraft, potions, crystal ball. Interesting, her creaking bones and curling hair let her know. It's kind of her spidey sense, like let her know that something, it wasn't just
rain was,
I
that
know,
rain was coming.
That's what they said. The rain was coming, and the gnome might be stealing the child's soul as well. But yeah, basically fighting people who were
What was the run? What years was she active?
that the year.
Well, just a year.
Yeah,
Okay.
1941. Yeah, she didn't have very much. Somehow she got a 4-page spread in this book, but she didn't have about one issue.
She had her own spread.
Yeah, so it was typical witch stuff. I mean, she lived in a dilapidated old house in a swamp by a
Yeah.
forest and a graveyard and all those things. But yeah, kind of a
So she
Just-
had
just
no
a witch.
secret identity. She was just a witch.
yeah, just a witch.
Okay.
With a fairy tale name.
Okay.
And no geese involved that we could do, but rode a broom.
What is the old Mother Hubbard? Something in the cupboard, or
lives in a cupboard, or
I get her confused with the old woman that lives in a
either
shoe. I
cursing
think.
away, or that was somebody else.
Yeah, that was Little
they all have the
Muffet.
same rhyme.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so Mother Hubbard, I see it as definitely a regrettable.
I'd say regrettable.
because it's really not a superhero. I mean, it's an interesting set of villains. She wins that so far.
Yeah.
The villain, but it's kind of like, ooh, really? Gnomes who steal the eyes of children?
Eyes of children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they was for a purpose, but nefarious.
Oh, it wasn't like a travel thing.
All right. So what's your vote on this one?
Regrettable.
Very regrettable.
Yeah.
Like creepy. Probably we shouldn't have brought this segment to air.
Yeah,
Regrettable.
That's right. We'll have to put a.
She did start out fighting Nazis, but then when the baby.
But back then, who didn't?
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I was wondering what
How
her
did she
time
get-
period was, because I'm thinking, okay, did like the war end and they thought, okay, that's no longer. But no, 41.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was at the beginning. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, we've weighed in on Jay's segment. How many more have we got on these?
Oh, we're still in the golden age.
Okay.
This is the
We are
golden
not even-
age.
Remember we had talked about if we do one a week, we basically it's a year's
A whole
worth.
year.
Okay.
We got to figure out what we're going to do for year 2, which would be year 5
This
of the podcast.
may be what kills podcast.
All right. Up next, we're going to travel back to the 80s and talk about wanting our MTV. So I've been listening to a new podcast, which dropped, I guess, about 5-6 weeks ago. Let me get the correct title so I can be accurate in my assessment. It's called Who Killed the Video Star? The Story of MTV. And it's been a fascinating podcast. It's interviewing folks who were there at the beginning. The guy who wrote and is hosting it is the executive producer, worked at MTV. And it goes all the way to the beginning of the launch of this music channel, and how when MTV hit the airwaves, there was really nothing for teen pop culture at that point. So I thought it might be kind of cool to do some MTV memories, but also talk about some influential videos, since they no longer play videos on
They
MTV.
do apparently somewhere, but not on MTV. But they do make videos, and they occur somewhere, but I never see
Well,
them.
I see them on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess that's
Vivo
what it
is-
Yeah, but
yeah.
MTV is no longer music television.
So right now, as I'm looking at the MTV TV schedule, on right now is Catfish the TV show, followed by 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 Catfish the TV show. At 5 p.m., the program changes to Jersey Shore Family Vacation, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, Jersey Shore Family Vacation.
So I guess there are
And then
no-
at 10 p.m., Ridiculousness.
Oh yeah, Bill Maher.
Is that him?
I think so.
I don't know.
No, maybe not. Maybe that's something else.
I don't know any of that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I guess there are no VJs anymore.
No,
which
no
was the
VJ.
term coined
The
for.
VJs are now on Sirius XM.
Yeah,
doing
Mark
the
Goodman,
80s on 8. Yeah.
Nina
Alan-
Black, Alan Hunter.
Yeah,
Downtown.
not Martha Quinn though.
No. Downtown Julie Brown.
Is she on something?
Yeah, she's on 90s on 9.
Okay.
You know, because she came.
was a late entry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's hired in 90, 91, and then her big thing was Total Request Live TRL in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But
See, Martha Quinn was probably my favorite. Is she doing
Martha
anything
Quinn
else?
was my favorite. She just retired from all that. What I understand. She's not
she
doing-
unlike us, she outgrew it.
Yeah. She was definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
And I can remember when it started. I was in college at the time, and it was just kind of and you didn't get it. Not every cable package had it, because I remember we could watch it at school, but we couldn't. I'd come home and we didn't have it.
I watched it at my friend's house, Trey Batson.
We had to
across the
watch
street.
Radio 1990 at home to see videos. It was like a 30-minute show that came on after the news on Fridays.
See, I remember Night Flight on
USA.
NBC.
Oh, was it NBC?
NBC originally. It was not.
Okay.
No, Night Flight was USA. You're right. Friday Night Videos was NBC.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's
Sure
right.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, which that was the broadcast version of it. But the podcast talks about how when MTV came up and running, it was in only a couple million households,
Yeah.
and you couldn't get it in New York City where they were based. So all these music journalists had no idea; they'd never seen it.
That's interesting.
Well, yeah. So they knew about it, but they didn't see it on a day-to-day basis. And the record labels were occasionally doing music videos, but they didn't want to give the content free to MTV, you know, because think about it. MTV started as you got all this free content from record labels, the promotional pieces. And one of the early markets MTV was on was somewhere in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they were brilliant. The sales folks and management at MTV, they went to the local record stores in that town in Oklahoma and said, okay, give us your sales for these artists. And Duran Duran was blowing up.
Yeah.
And, a variety of artists. And so they were able to correlate the data with saying the reason you're selling more of these records is because we're playing them. Because you're not getting Duran Duran on Top 40 radio at that point.
Right. You're getting on MTV.
Yeah, only MTV.
Yeah, right. And that's what they I've heard the comparison that Led Zeppelin came about just as stereo was coming about, and stereo was one of the things that pushed them to the top because they took such advantage of it. And Duran Duran is completely an MTV made hit. So they had great videos too. I mean, they're very much of their time now, but even then they were very, very skillfully produced and put together.
Well, if you think about "Hungry Like the Wolf," which was
I think that's one that's in the list I was looking at. That was always one of the top 5.
It's one of those that they went to Tanzania or somewhere and did a very Indiana Jones-esque Raiders type of video, but. As MTV started to blossom and push out, it became the de facto place for folks our age at that time.
Oh, yeah.
I think we got MTV on cable, gosh, that would have been 84, 85.
Yeah.
And, I had it on in the background pretty much.
I had it on all the time. Yeah, that's what, like I said, at school I'd have it on, and it would stay on the TV wherever you were.
Yeah.
And it was
background
noise.
New radio.
Yeah, it was the new radio, and then if something was interesting, you'd stop and watch it. Now, of course, at first you had maybe like 20 videos, so it wasn't hard to see all of them at one time. Yeah. But then they became events. You had somebody's launching. Michael Jackson usually, or Madonna or somebody is debuting a thing. It's coming on.
That's right.
So then it became event television.
And so MTV basically proved to the record labels that if you create this nascent new art form, it can promote and sell albums for you. And that's where the new wave invasion from England took place, initially on MTV.
Right.
And then you had Duran Duran and Thompson Twins, and even though they're not from England, Men at Work, those guys who were MTV hits, David Bowie to an extent.
Yeah.
Because at that point, rock stations were playing Aerosmith, Kansas, some Journey.
And those folks had, initially had a lot of trouble making the move to video because they were music focused and, thinking about radio airplay. And so you get a lot of, concert type footage from those guys, or you get really, just like a fake in the studio type of concert, where the ones that really started taking off were the ones, like you said, with Hungry Like the Wolf, that had a story to them. And then that went, talk about, I think, Michael Jackson's Thriller, directed by Michael Landis, which was basically a small film or a short film. I think that was kind of the epitome of that thing. And then you started to see some tapering off of that.
Well, and the podcast talks about how initially MTV was very hesitant to play African-American artists because they were just rock and new wave. And it took Michael Jackson to break that through. Billie Jean and Thriller primarily, then
you had Billie Jean Beat It.
Billie Jean Beat It, then Thriller.
Then Thriller later, and
then you had Prince.
Prince came in,
and then Janet Jackson a little bit later. All those guys it took, and that was kind of the precursor to urban and rap music. You had Yo MTV Raps, which brought a lot of urban music into play,
and you had. Run DMC doing "Walk This Way," a collaboration with Aerosmith, which kind of resurrected Aerosmith's career.
It did.
It
did.
So, I watched a little bit of that one last night, and they were talking about how in the middle of the video they literally break through the wall.
Yes.
And it was, it's very symbolic as well as visual.
I always like that one a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's a great video, and they those guys got clean. Aerosmith, like they went through rehab, got clean, and resurrected their career. And because of the popularity of that remake,
and then also became one of the older bands that really embraced MTV and had all this stuff with Alicia Silverstone
and Liv Tyler. Those I remember a lot of the Aerosmith ones.
Well, Janie's Got a Gun. Love in an Elevator, Dude Looks Like a Lady. All those
very.
I think that was Permanent Vacation, and that was a very MTV-esque album.
Yeah, so it was. So they kind of leaned into that.
Yeah, but I miss those days of MTV. And one of the things that the podcast talked about is once you aged out, MTV didn't care about you. They were going after your younger siblings next.
Yeah.
but they became the arbiter of taste, style, fashion, music,
my gosh, yeah.
news.
Yeah.
MTV News, which shut down not long ago.
Not too long ago. Kurt
Yeah.
Loder and
Chris Connolly.
Chris Connolly, yeah. And I mean, they were, that for a lot of us for a while, that was our news.
That's right.
Those people were our Walter Cronkite.
Well, you thought about Rock the Vote.
Yeah.
Which they got into some politics. And then one of their biggest contributions, I mean, basically they had the spring break stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they went to Daytona Beach one year just with cameras and, hey, we're going to do it. But The Real World, which defined the reality TV genre.
Yeah.
And that was huge. One of my favorite things, we've talked about it before, was
the game show.
Yeah, remote control.
Remote control, yeah.
I need to get my buddy Jim Biddle on. He teaches broadcasting at University of Georgia. He was actually on remote control in one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Jimmy wasn't like the other kids, just like Kenny.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it might be kind of cool to talk a little bit of MTV memories and maybe a few videos as I'm going through this podcast. And I would highly recommend,
what's the name of it again?
Let me get it. Who Killed the Video Star?
Yeah. I listened to about an episode and a half.
What'd you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Who Killed the Video Star? The Story of MTV, and it's produced by Odyssey, AUDACY Inc., based in, I guess they're based in New York. So, but it's a really, really well produced. I don't know how many episodes they're going for. Their episode 4 is what I'm in the middle of now, but they're about half hour to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it reminds me a lot of Blockbuster.
Oh, okay, good.
Not dramatic reenactments, but
but still that kind of interest level and that kind of behind the scenes.
And I'm surprised they don't have Bob Pittman. They talk about Bob Pittman quite a bit, but he's not on here. Let's see, Bob Pittman. He's from Jackson. He was the guy who programmed MTV. He's the guy who started.
And I've said before that Alan Hunter's from Mississippi. I think he's got a Mississippi connection, but
he's
not.
He's married to a lady from Cleveland.
Okay,
he's from Memphis, I believe.
Yeah, or I thought was it maybe Atlanta or somewhere. Anyway, we don't know where he's from.
Yeah.
Somebody does. We can find out, but he's not born and raised in Mississippi like I keep.
Maybe
claiming
23andMe could help.
See, I thought Bob Pittman went to Ole Miss, but I guess not. He's from Jackson. I don't know where he went to school.
So anyway, what were your favorite? What stands out as favorite video?
So I try to figure out
favorite or best, I guess. Maybe.
Well, I don't know if Thriller's incredibly.
I was going to say Thriller. I have to put at the top of the list in terms of probably best video.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's my favorite, although I do like the whole werewolf aspect and Vincent Price being in there. It's very cool, but I don't know. I mean, I was trying to think what my favorite was. I was trying to remember which one.
I can't remember exactly favorites. I had several memorable ones, things that I'll never forget. But I think I looked, I would have MTV on. I would wait for that favorite video come on, but I can't remember what I was waiting for.
I mean, there was something like Robert Palmer's "Addicted to Love."
Yes,
I like
that was on my
Cyndi
list.
Lauper's "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" was always a good one. Aha to me is probably
Take on Me.
That's probably my favorite.
Is that the animated one?
Yeah.
I saw that one.
Yeah, because I liked the ones where, the concert videos were great. Some of those were better than others. U2 had some particularly good ones around the Rattle and Hum era, pulled from the movie. But the ones that, kind of took you, a lot of them were dystopian landscape. I think about Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself, which I really like too. On top of that, building and there's zombies and stuff. And it was just really.
Well, Madonna was very influential.
Madonna's
music video.
Vogue, Like a Prayer.
Well, Vogue was 90s. Like a Prayer is the thing that kind of, Like a Virgin was a very influential album, but Like a Prayer is what kind of kicked her into the stratosphere.
Yeah, looking at the list, I was kind of surprised that some of those videos were later than I thought they were.
Yeah.
But, of course, MTV didn't, I said it started in college, but it didn't start until maybe my junior year of college.
It was like 84, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, it may have been my senior year then.
I thought it was 82, but
I guess I jumped in on episode 3 and they were already talking about 84.
And it could be that we didn't get it, our cable package didn't get. No, well, I don't know. I kind of feel like I remember. Of course, this is probably just a fake memory with the Buggles singing video killed the radio.
August
star.
181 is when MTV
Wow. Okay, so I know
launched.
we didn't get it then. Before
Hardly anybody
I
did.
remember seeing it either my sophomore or junior year. Probably for the first time. I really think it was probably my junior year.
WTBS at that point.
Yeah.
Physical by Olivia Newton-John.
Oh my gosh!
has been cited as very influential. 83. I mean, she was huge. at that point. Once in a Lifetime by Talking Heads. Do you remember that? 1980.
Yeah, that was
same as it ever was.
Yeah.
Same as it ever was.
All right, which was the one where he's driving down the road, or you see his face projected on the road, and he's like, just driving. This was, I guess maybe that was what it was, or I can't remember. There was another. They had several. I thought that were good.
Yeah.
B-52s had some interesting ones.
Yeah. Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer. I mean,
that's in the top 5 of most lists.
Sledgehammer's
too. I
there.
Being cool. I always liked the Genesis one, Land of
Confusion.
Confusion.
I've got it pulled up right here with Spitting Image, the UK puppeteers.
Yeah, the caricatures of the puppet caricatures of world leaders.
Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran in '83 was one of the highest production values at that point, and still is
still held up. That one, like I said.
Walk This Way. Money for Nothing, Dire Straits in '85.
Yeah, and I remember liking. I love the song for it. Of course, it was starts out with "I Want My MTV" with Sting singing that, and had some of the earliest 3D animation that you saw in anything. So that was a cool one.
So the same guy who directed Take on Me, Steve Barron, directed
Money for Nothing.
Money for Nothing, and he also directed Billie Jean.
Okay, which I like that one too.
Yeah. Don't Come Around Here No More, which was the Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd forgotten about that one.
White Wedding. Every Breath You Take.
That's the one with all the candles?
That's the one with all the candles. So stylistic.
That's very cool.
And that's kind of where music videos, that 83, 84, 85, especially 85, 84, 85 is when music videos became events in and of themselves.
Yeah.
And everybody had a music video. You know,
I watched one that y'all probably wouldn't like this one, but the Bangles, the
Walk Like an Egyptian. I always love
Very
the Bangles.
influential.
I always liked the Bangles anyway.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I like their. I like the Bangles version of California Dreaming.
Yeah, that was good.
And then, what was it from Less Than Zero? Hazy Shade of Winter.
Yeah,
yeah.
The Simon and Garfunkel song.
I really liked Hazy Shade of Winter. When Doves Cry by Prince.
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, some of Prince's early stuff was again just basically concert stuff, but that he started getting to high concept things that was good. I remember Walk Like an Egyptian had just come out, was a hit when the King Tut exhibit came through Memphis when we were there. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody had a walk. I'm going through old footage and old music videos that I did just for fun, and I did a Walk Like an Egyptian.
Oh, yeah,
video,
really? Okay.
So, but if you had to pick one, what would it be? And there are a couple else that were, one of the ones most influential on me was Boys of Summer by Henley.
Yeah, I remember liking that video, and I always liked that song.
I love that song.
Yeah.
That was
a guitar lick at the beginning, and then the whole thing in there.
Yeah. And him kind of drifting. They shot him, I think, on the back of a truck going through the city streets. Very desolate and to me, it was a very bittersweet, because it's talking about the fleeting summer, but also maybe closing a chapter in his life.
Yeah, because the Eagles were broken up by that point.
Yeah,
and like I said, it's great. That was a great album, great single, and a great video. I also liked "Call Me Al" by Paul Simon.
Yeah,
it was very simple with Chevy Chase singing, singing or miming, lip syncing to the song, and then.
Boy, Graceland, which came out in 85 or 86.
I was in Memphis, so it's probably 86.
Let's see what time when it came out.
That's a phenomenal album.
That is an incredible album that I bought, and I wasn't really sure I would like it. But to me, it's
same here. And then you end up liking every song on the album.
I had to grow into that album.
Yeah. I mean, there's some things I liked right away, and other things that in fact, I'm going to have to go listen to that now. It's really good.
Are you
familiar with it, Jay?
Yeah. Is that the one that he kind of like flipped his whole
It was the one
style at that point?
He recorded with a bunch of African musicians.
Okay. He went to South Africa and recorded with Lady Black Monzambo, which was a South African black vocal group, and that was in the midst of apartheid.
I remember that. Yeah.
Diamonds on the soles of her shoes.
I liked all the songs. I heard him interviewed recently about that.
Boy in the Bubble.
I don't remember that one.
You don't remember Boy in the Bubble and the Kid with the Baboon Heart? I believe it's a great music video.
Oh, okay.
Do you know? You need to.
I remember the song, but I don't remember the video.
The video. It's a lot of animation, a lot of layering.
Okay, I'll check that out.
So you need to go back and look at that. Some other influential videos that popped up. I don't remember running into that Up That Hill by Kate Bush, that music video.
I've seen it probably more since Stranger Things
Yeah.
featured it than I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wow, this is, so much of its time here.
Yeah.
This, so dramatic. But anyway.
Great album.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like I said, it's
great
good,
tune.
but it just Stranger Things was wise to pick that because it definitely takes you back to that time. Yeah.
Beds Are Burning by Midnight Oil.
Yeah, I like Midnight Oil a lot.
I do too. I've got Diesel and Dust, which is what that album's from.
And Big Country, I remember in a big country.
Dreams Stay With You, like a lover's voice.
It was like
on a mountainside.
The album, the band was called Big Country. The album's called Big Country.
And the song was In a Big Country.
In a Big Country, yeah.
Beds Are Burning from Midnight Oil was very, they shot in the outback in a native town, Aboriginal native town, which was kind of, at that point that's a big political statement. They were billed as the Australian version of U2.
Yeah.
And Peter Garrett is just an amazing singer. They had Blue Sky Mine after that and a few other albums.
He's also got, such a physical presence that it worked real well for video.
Take Me Home by Phil Collins was remarked upon in this list. When Doves Cry by Prince. Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks, which I know the song, but I cannot recall the music video.
I'm sure it's probably, most of Stevie Nicks stuff was, very much, it seems like shots of her with that flowing, Mother Hubbard type stuff looking about. But I can't remember much more about that.
Shout by Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
They were a band that was really made for MTV.
They really were.
And
especially that, the Songs from the Big Chair was the first album. What was the second one that was very Beatle-esque? Or maybe not even the second one, maybe.
You're probably thinking Sowing the Seeds of Love.
Sowing the Seeds of Love. Yeah, that was like.
That's one of my all-time favorite albums.
Yeah. But they really
the title cut is very, very Beatles.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, they really leaned into that. And it's well done. It's not just a fake tribute to it. It's a well done album.
So I may have told you this before, but this is kind of a cool aside. I've got my uncle remarried one of my uncles remarried. His first wife passed away, and her Catherine, one of her songs plays one of her sons plays the dulcimer.
We watched this video.
Yeah, and so he did a Everybody Wants to Rule the World on dulcimer. He ended up injured. I think it was a carpenter. He ended up injured, and he was a big Rich Mullins fan, so he started playing the dulcimer, and so he did Everybody Wants to Rule the World on dulcimer, and they live upstate Indiana, and Tears for Fears was in Indianapolis performing, and Kurt Smith goes to his house, had become a big fan of his version of Everybody, and sits in his backyard and sings the lead vocal while Catherine, so I can't remember his name, she'll shoot me, does it on dulcimer.
That's cool.
And it's really, really cool. So
we've also got the things like We Are the World videos that came out. Have y'all watched that special on?
No, I need to come back.
It's very interesting. Probably Becky and I watched it several weeks ago. But our favorite part is when Stevie Wonder has to teach Bob Dylan how to sing like Bob Dylan. He is he's such an introvert and stuff, and he's just very uncomfortable with it. So Stevie Wonder, did I say Stevie Nicks?
Yeah, Wonder.
Stevie Wonder. Okay. Stevie Wonder comes out and he goes, "There are times we make it," and he's singing it like Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan starts smiling. He goes, "Okay, yeah, I know where that is," and he sings it just like that.
That's hilarious.
Stevie Wonder.
I need to watch that.
It's like I said, it was well worth the time to watch it. I thought it was
what
very
service
interesting.
is that on? Do you remember?
Netflix, possibly.
That's a Netflix piece, I believe.
And I came across a list too of, I think they called it strange videos, and one of them I used to listen to Devo.
Oh yeah,
I never was a huge fan, but I just thought they were interesting. And the Whip It song was, and I thought, well, surely I'll recognize this video. I didn't really recognize the video, just the hats.
The hats, yeah. I was gonna say the hats are really all I remember from it.
Yeah, that's all I remember. But I love the energy of that song.
Yeah, me too. That's a good song. So what you were asking if we had to pick one.
Yeah, what would it be?
I think I'd have to go with "Take On Me" by Aha.
Yeah,
and I don't know that's my favorite of all time, but to me it's the one that best encapsulates that time and what was probably one of the best produced and most novel ideas for a video. So I think that's, and I do like the song. I mean, I like the song and the video both, but the whole, of course, a comic book guy, the whole thing that he's going into a comic book is cool. So,
what about you, Jay?
I don't know that I have a favorite, but
you have to.
Robert Palmer, Addicted to Love.
Okay, you see, you get forceful with him. Yeah, he folds like a cheap suit.
That's right.
Okay, so
I also liked all the ZZ Top videos too.
Yeah, those were good. Those came a little bit later.
Yeah.
For me, probably because I went down a nostalgia lane with it not long ago. It's Boys of Summer by Henley.
Yeah.
You know, because that was that stark black and white, very esoteric. Yeah, great piece. So
did MTV ever play any country at all?
Not that I know of.
Any crossover?
No.
That's what CMT was.
CMT was developed for that. And I don't know if there was
GAC, Great American Country.
Yeah,
if you couldn't
GAC.
afford CMT's,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Because my sort of musical taste, and I still liked everything that was on MTV, but I was never really been into rap, but
mid '80s, early '90s,
I turned to country. I started
music
listening
when
to
you started
country.
listening to Garth Brooks came out, and when you had Clint Black.
Yeah,
I can't listen to country.
See, Becky can't either, but I really like a lot of that music.
Yeah,
and Susie Boggess,
and that's and country now is what rock was for us.
Yeah, it's very much like Southern rock.
Yeah.
Well, maybe just any rock.
I mean, Morgan Wallen and all these guys.
Well, Chris Stapleton.
It's barely country. Classic country anyway.
Yeah, I mean.
But Chris, I like
he's
Chris
phenomenal.
Stapleton. Yeah.
But, you don't like Chris Stapleton?
It's country. Man. I can't get over that. I just can't.
I really like Chris Stapleton.
I had a bad experience at country radio years ago. We can talk about that over.
Yeah, that's another show. But I just was curious because I know they talked about bringing in, like you said earlier, bringing in Michael Jackson, they're bringing in the hip hop, and then they finally they brought rap in. I mean, just little by little they brought in that.
I think CMT came around, early enough to where they felt that niche was probably covered or that genre was covered.
Well, and at that point, your parents listened to country. You listened to rock and roll, right? CMT launched March 5, 83.
Okay, so not that.
So so like I said, it was probably enough for it to go. Hey, this is going to work. We need an answer for this.
Yeah.
Was there any crossover in that? Any of the same folks that they didn't launch that as a?
No, I don't think that there was any. Because it came out of Nashville.
Yeah,
it came out of Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Video World Productions was the name of the company. And then they bought Telestar Corp. And then they got ahead of the Nashville network by 2 days. They went live in front of the Nashville network, which was probably their biggest competitor at that point. In 91, Gaylord Entertainment, which owned Opryland at the time, bought CMT.
Okay.
And there was a lot of speculation at that point that CMT would take the Christian music industry and make there was a gospel music network channel there for a half a minute, and a couple of other things, but it never got critical mass.
See, I'm probably one of those in the camp.
Hold on, but MTV bought them in 2000. I didn't realize that. Viacom bought CMT in 2000. Okay. So
I mean, I think the podcast kind of touches on this. I'm one of the grumblers who says, MTV doesn't play music videos anymore.
Yeah,
I probably would actually watch it some now. I have not gotten into the shows.
Is VH1 even
all.
still around? VH1 kind of came about.
Well, VH1 became our MTV, right?
Yeah, because it would go back and play videos, and they would play some of the, whereas MTV, like you said, did not care about once we aged out. VH1 was kind of presented for those they did seem to care about. Well, because they would play a lot of the older videos, and they had pop-up videos, so those of us that couldn't hear the music, what are they saying?
Videos. And Behind the Music. Remember VH1 Behind the Music?
Yeah.
Now VH1 is being billed as celebrity reality television.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I always loved Behind the Music. We did a parody of Behind the Music for one of our clients back when I was with Quest.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I like was when they did Unplugged. There are several performances.
I was just thinking, I couldn't think of the word.
That's MTV, but when there are several performances I really, really liked. Eric Clapton's, Paul McCartney's, and Nirvana's.
Yeah,
Nirvana's.
Yeah, if I never hear the acoustic version of Layla again.
Yeah, it's I liked that at first. I thought it was an interesting take, but I always want to hear the electric version of it.
Yeah.
But the rest of
the
that,
Derek and the Dominoes version.
yeah, it's still electric though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that Eric Clapton concert was very good. Paul McCartney's, he's released that now as an album, the Unplugged, that I'm sure a lot of people did.
I think a lot did.
Yeah. That kind of revived Clapton's career a little bit too, because then he had
Tears from Heaven.
Tears in Heaven.
Yeah.
So, all right, we still want our MTV, but we're 20 years too late. Our classic MTV.
Not our catfish. Catfish.
Yeah, and ridiculousness. So, just ridiculous. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time around.